But new energy comes in and something changes. Now, just out of curiosity, what percentage of those 80,000 thoughts per day were the same as yesterday? This was also part of the research. So,
unsolved things are always in your mind every day.
That's right. So what percentage would you throw this?
75.
Yeah, it was like 80 to 90%. So really, this is amazing. If you just stay with me, just a reality, on alternate reality here. When you're thinking again and again and again, have you noticed that your thoughts come usually in the sound of talk, like you'll hear talk, or you'll see movie pictures, but they're not what's happening right now. So 90% of the time, you're never here. Thought is a beautiful thing. Like I'm thinking right now, there's an intelligence that's using my thought as a means, as a vehicle to communicate with you. I can recall data, I can recall stats, I can draw in my lexicon of words, you know, I can put sentences together. Hopefully, this will probably end in about 10 minutes. But I can use that. But see, if I'm lost in thought all the time, where am I? I'm never here. And what's interesting is thought has a vibrational component to it. And I know that can sound a little weird, but thought and emotion has a certain vibrational tone to it. Vibration, so if I had a sheet of iron fillings on it, right? Just imagine a bunch of like iron filings, disorganized, just a heap of iron filings. But I put a perfectly harmonic D note right through that iron. It would organize those iron fillings into a unique shape. The sound Om, which is often said in yoga class, is this kind of weird, unique, very powerful harmonic sound. So if we put in a perfectly coherent harmonic Om sound into iron fillings, it forms them into the most beautiful shape. Did anybody see Matsuru Emoto's work on the hidden messages in water? So they would funnel intention, prayer, and certain things into water and then study how the water crystals change shape. They would also do things like hatred. I hate you. I'm terrible. I hate myself. They would use pollution. They would put all kinds of different negative, disempowering messages in, and they had this other group where they put in all these amazingly positive messages. And what was amazing is the difference of, say, I love you, I'm enough. Compassion produce these really harmonic, coherent shapes, these crystalline forms that reflect organized life, whereas the dissonant feelings, the negative emotions that were put into the water produced dissonant, cacophonous shapes that don't have any structural integrity. Isn't that amazing? So thoughts and emotions become sort of a vibrational field, which definitely then informs matter. Said another way, unresolved stress, unresolved pain, 80,000 thoughts a day, 90% of which were yesterday, 70% of those were not awesome. It makes sense why we often kind of stay stuck in a rut. One can argue that this is a good reason why pain doesn't heal, and I'll go over that in just a second. And I'll talk to you about a couple studies that are mind-blowing about just even pain alone. Does it make sense? So when we don't have the sense of natural innate wholeness, we're not really here. Our body's not working 100%. That's no fun. It's no fun. Okay.
Did you know, maybe, I don't know if this is, if I'm going to sound stupid, but do most people know that light is actually sound wave traveling so fast? Creates light?
Well, I don't think most people know that.
Well, I read that in Paramahansa Yogananda's book, and he's very scientific.
Yeah, he was great. Yogananda was amazing.
That's where he enlightened me on light, saying that light is actually sound waves, you know, traveling so fast that it creates what you're seeing is not light; it's actually sound waves.
Everything is waves, photon waves, acoustic waves. Information travels in waves. Awesome.
Amazing.
Yeah, yeah, and yes, your nerves conduct acoustic waves. You know, I know you do neurofeedback. We're measuring wave patterns and wave function. We're creating coherence and harmony, and in that state of harmony, regardless of the system we use, we can make massive changes, massive positive changes. Okay, so anybody have an idea what the circle and the C and the U mean? Any Joseph Campbell fans in the house? Any Joseph Campbell fans? Joseph Campbell fan? Okay, great. Cameraman is Joseph Campbell fan. Well, he was a great mythologist. He studied the power of myth and tradition. He's awesome. You can look up his YouTube videos. The guy was like the quintessential amazing professor. He did this incredible series with Bill Moyers, about the power of myth. It's amazing. If you ever have a chance to listen to it, it's unbelievable. I think it's all on YouTube for free. It's so awesome. So he had this great drawing, which I love because it's so applicable. So this right here, my friends, is you. This is your psyche. This is you. The C stands for conscious. Thank you. Good job. So that is what we are conscious of. I don't even know if I'm spelling that right. And that's what we're conscious of. That's kind of the surface layer of the ocean. That's the surface layer of the ocean. Now, for most of us, that doesn't go too deep. And the rest is what? What does U stand for? Unconscious. Unconscious. So this is what's there, but we're not aware of. We are unconscious of it. We are disconnected from it. So what I propose is that all of that overwhelming stress that we couldn't fully be with, that we didn't have the tools to become aware of or to work with, gets dumped in the unconscious. Now let's go a step back. Remember I said that Candace Pert said that the unconscious mind is really the spinal cord. It's really the nervous system and the spinal cord is sort of the dumping ground for the unconscious, unresolved material of a lifetime. Make sense? And so what happens is we all experience all kinds of stuff in life, which is completely overwhelming. And I think that the most powerful one that gets stored in the unconscious is rage. It's a sense of anger. This is the most dangerous emotion we could ever feel. And for a lot of us, the one we're just not willing to be with. Think about it. If you were hurt as a kid and you wanted to be like, you wanted to experience the anger fully, you wanted to experience the rage fully, you wanted to stand up for yourself, but it would mean that you would lose love, of course you're not going to do that. So we dump it. We push it down. We repress it. So this act of repression and suppression is a very powerful mechanism. But the problem is, when you throw something away, think about it for a moment. When you throw something away, where's away? Right? Where is away? You may know that there's a 2.5-mile spinning circle of plastic bottles in the North Pacific Ocean because that's away. There is no away. And in the human body, the unconscious is the body. And it's especially your spinal cord. So the fear, the pain, the rage, the grief, the anxiety, the abandonment. What happens is for a lot of people, when this system gets really full up, it's gonna go somewhere. It's going to explode somewhere, and I notice that it often explodes or comes out in symptoms. I think one of the most common is back pain, neck pain, headaches, digestive issues, insomnia, and skin issues. And for some people, in fact, I think for a lot of people, especially people who are wired to be highly perfectionistic, they're very good. They want to be so good. They want to be so good. They just want to get it all right. And they've had trauma in their life. This will often spill over into pain, especially back pain and neck pain and nerve pain. Because that pain itself serves as a distraction away from the emotional pain underneath. Now, I know that was a mouthful, but did you follow that? Oftentimes, physical pain is a ruse. It's a mirage. It's an illusion to get you to not have to be attentive to this. Make sense? Does that make sense to you, Carolyn? And so if we begin to deal with this, what happens to the pain? It goes away. And if it comes, you're like, oh, okay, it's telling me what's going on. I got some stuff coming up. This is not to say there's no structural causes for pain. There are. But in my estimation, it's about 10 to 15% of the time. If you ever want more information on this, I highly recommend Dr. John Sarno's work. Just working with this paradigm alone, he took people who were in significant musculoskeletal pain, and over a period of 1 to 2 years, had an 80% complete recovery rate of people just working on clearing out the emotional garbage and the emotional traumas that we carry. And these were people that diagnosed with herniated discs, spondylolisthesis, stenosis of the spine, bone spurs, etc., etc., etc. Get this, in an asymptomatic population, so in a group of people who have no symptoms whatsoever, they're happy as clams, they're eating tacos at Ruru's, they're just hanging out, I think it was 2,000 people. This was a couple issues back in the Spine Journal, really prominent journal of the spine. Over 80% of those people had bulges or herniated discs in their neck. Isn't that amazing? But they didn't feel any pain. And yet, if you have pain in your neck and in your arm and you go to an orthopedic surgeon, you're going to say, well, your pain is because of this herniated disc or this structural abnormality. But 80+% of the population has structural abnormalities, which to me means that these things are actually completely normal as gray hair, as normal as wrinkles. But what's not normal is that we then lose our capacity to adapt and to be well. We get locked into the stress physiology and stress posture, and pain goes through the roof, either as in a response to the stress that hasn't resolved. As we talked about, there's 50 chemicals related to the stress response, or it becomes this mirage, it becomes this ruse.